What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Jasper here, back with another motovlog. Thank you for tuning in. Today I'm going to talk to the new riders and give you guys some tips on some things that you may not have known about. So stay tuned, this is going to be a good one. Okay, so in this video, I'm going to be talking to the new riders. I'm going to give you guys some tips that you may not know about, but it's definitely something that you need to know about. Alright, so let's talk about brakes. Now, a lot of new riders will only use the front brake or only use the rear brake. So if you use the front brake aggressively, you're going to find out real quick that you shouldn't have done that. You'll end up doing an endo and may not recover from it and flip over the motorcycle. Everybody looks at you, everyone laughs at you, you scratch your bike up and your ego's hurt. Nobody wants that. So you want to use your front brake because the front brake stops you quicker than your rear brake. But the rear brake allows you to slow down more smoothly and more controllably. Another thing you want to do is check your fluids. Now, you may not have to do it after every ride, but you know, once a week, once every other week, you want to check your fluids. The crankcase oil, your engine oil, brake fluid, those kind of things. You want to just give it a quick check. It doesn't take that long, you know, 30 seconds to check everything and make sure that everything is at the right level and the right color. If your engine oil is black, then it's probably time to do an oil change. If your brake fluid is starting to look bad, you might want to change that as well. So changing your oil and your brake fluid are not necessarily the most difficult thing to do. Me personally, I go to a mechanic to get everything done. If I could go to the mechanic to get my chain tightened, I would. I mean, I guess I could, but they'd probably look at me like I was an idiot. So I like going to the mechanic. The reason why, there's a backstory to this. The reason why is I used to have a 2012 R1, which was my favorite bike. I loved it so much. So I was doing an oil change on it, and I used to be a mechanic. I used to actually work on cars. I worked at Coffin Tire, worked at Tires Plus. I even worked at a Walmart Quick Lube. So I know how to work on cars and bikes. And I was doing the oil change, and the filter was stuck, and there's this trick that you can do. You can stab a screwdriver into the filter, and it will you can use it as leverage to pull it and take it off. Well, I hammered the screwdriver in way too hard. It went out the other end and pierced the coolant line. And long story short, the coolant got mixed with the oil. It was an internal part that got broken, so I couldn't fix it. I didn't know that it was broken, and I did the oil change. I drove it around for a little bit, and then of course, like you're supposed to, I checked the oil, and in that little circle glass, it was like a milkshake, and I knew I had done something wrong. So I take it to the mechanic, and they said that oil got all in my coolant and coolant got all in my oil, and they were gonna have to flush the whole engine, replace the part that was broken. Anyways, it cost me like $500 to get it fixed. So I always go to a mechanic. Just for everything, I go to the mechanic. I'd rather pay them a little bit of money than screw something up and end up paying a lot of money. So, long story short, check your fluids. If things need to be replaced, go ahead and replace them or go to a mechanic and have it done. The third thing that I wanted to talk about was hand signals. Now, you may not necessarily have to use all of them, but it's good to know them. Obviously, you have right turn, left turn. You stick your left hand all the way out for the left turn. You 90-degree angle for the right turn. What else is there? There's pat your top of your head, which means that there's a cop ahead. If you point to your gas tank, that means you need fuel. What else is there? You've got, if there's an object in the road on your left side, you point downward to the object. If it's on the right side, you use your leg and you stick it out. I just stuck my leg out, but you guys can't see it in the camera. I don't know why I did that. Now, there's probably 8 or 9 more that I just can't think of off the top of my head. So I would go ahead and Google it, check them out. You may not need to know them all, but it's just good to check it out. The one that I have used the most is I tap my head for a copper head. And the only other one, I forgot, you can wave at your fellow motorcyclists as they drive by. That's just a common courtesy. It lets them know that, hey, we're part of a community. I'm here to help you. You're here to help me. All that fun stuff. I've actually got a video on the history of the biker wave. I even threw in the history of gremlin bells on top of it. It's a pretty cool video. Highly recommend checking it out once you finish this video. And also, don't forget, if you like the stuff that I'm putting out, hit the subscribe button. I post every Monday at 5 p.m. I usually throw up some shorts during midweek. And don't forget to hit the like button. If you want to get updates on when I actually upload videos, go ahead and hit the notification bell. It helps with the algorithm. And I was trying to get to 10,000 subscribers by July, but it's June and I've only gained 6 subscribers since February. So it is what it is. But I will say, and I want to stop for a second. I want to thank everybody for their amazing comments on my last video. I wasn't sure if I was doing things right, and I asked for suggestions from my viewers, and I gotta tell you, the ideas that you guys came up with are phenomenal. I need to go this way. They're phenomenal. I couldn't believe it. So this is actually a video in response to that. Someone made the comment that I should talk to the new riders and give them tips. Ergo, this video. So thank you guys so much for that. Alright, I got off on a little tangent, but anyways, hand signals, you can check them out. The only time that I actually use hand signals regularly is if I'm leading a motorcycle ride. So it's always nice to have the person behind you relay that message. And as you go back, depending on how many riders there are, once I do the signal, the person behind me does the signal, the person behind them does the signal, and it just lets everybody know what's going on. The fourth thing that I want to talk about is knowing your state laws. To give you an example, in South Carolina, if you're over 21 and have insurance, you don't have to wear a helmet. I don't understand it. It's a stupid law, but it is what it is. So, let's say you decide you want to drive to Georgia. Well, in Georgia, you have to wear a helmet no matter what. And you can get a pretty hefty fine. Ask me how I know this. Because I used to live in South Carolina. I lived just outside of Charleston. And I surprised my wife with a trip to Savannah on the motorcycle. Well, I only had one helmet, and I certainly, as a gentleman, was not going to wear a helmet and have her without a helmet. So I gave her my helmet, and I just went without a helmet. So we get down into Savannah, and I got people pointing at my head left and right. I mean, there must have been 30 people that let me know that I was supposed to be wearing a helmet. We had a great day. We were walking down Riverwalk. There was even the Spin Doctors, which I know for a lot of you newer people, younger people rather, don't know about the Spin Doctors, but it's one of my favorite bands, and they were actually playing a live free show right there on Riverwalk. It was awesome. Anyways, I digress. We were about 2 miles from the border, and I got pulled over for no helmet. I was 2 miles away from South Carolina, and I got pulled over, and I got a ticket for it. And it was like 11 o'clock at night. He wouldn't let me drive the motorcycle without a helmet. So he actually, I had to call a friend of mine to drive all the way down to Savannah, or all the way down to the border, and have him take my wife home, and so I could wear the helmet and drive legally for the last 2 freaking miles. It was so stupid. And to make sure that I didn't drive off, he actually stayed in the parking lot and watched me and made sure. So kudos to my friend though. That was 11 o'clock at night and it was about an hour and a half drive one way. So he did a 3-hour round trip just to pick up my wife. Now that's a friend. That's a good friend. So I'm getting off topic. All right, the fifth thing, always wear gear. Okay, so a lot of the Harley riders don't necessarily like to wear gear. Now, when I first got started riding, I didn't wear any gear either. I'd have a t-shirt on with some shorts and sandals. I was a total squid. There's an acronym that you can use. It's called ACGAT. All the gear, all the time. Dress for the fall, not the ride. Me personally, and I came up with this one, I would rather sweat than bleed. I was driving home from work one day. Wow, this is pretty. Look at the lake. There's a beach right there. Very nice. Very nice. I haven't been to this side. I've only been to the other side. To give you an example, I was heading home from work one day and I had my suit on. I had a dress shirt and I had my slacks on, regular dress shoes, and a helmet. That was it. No gloves, nothing. And I was driving home. I stopped at a traffic light and the traffic light turned green. I started to go. Well, there was a sewer drain lid that was sunken into the asphalt to the point where when I hit it with my front tire, it bucked me off the bike. It actually it did a nosedive right into the ground, and I got hurt. I got really bad road rash. If I have pictures of it, I'll put it on the screen. I think I even did a video about it. I don't know, whatever. Anyways, after that, I wore my gear all the time. And the crappy part is that I actually had a really nice leather jacket. I had Kevlar jeans. I had riding boots and gloves, and they were all in the closet. And unfortunately, I got hurt. So, wear your gear. It's worth it. I know it sucks sometimes when it's 90 degrees out and you just don't want to wear the gear because it's just too hot. I get it. I totally get it. But just like me with my wreck, I had no idea that I was actually going to wreck that day. And unfortunately, I did, and I got hurt. This is beautiful. So this is Lake Thurman. I've been up here a couple times. I think I've even done a video over here. I did do a video over here. Another thing you want to be mindful of is learning how to swerve safely. The reason being is, let's say you're behind a car. Well, the car has the ability to straddle something in the road, but you can't, because if you're in the center of the lane, all of a sudden this thing pops up right behind the car. The car straddles it, goes over it, and now you have to deal with it because it's right in front of you. And the thing is you have half a second to respond to it, so you need to be mindful of that as you're driving. The other thing, a tip would be to stay in the left side of the lane, or I mean, you can stay on the right side too, but usually you stay in the left lane if you're leading a group or if you're by yourself. And that way you're not in the oil slick, and if somebody straddles an object in the road, you aren't going to hit it. But let's say you do end up being in that situation, you're going to have to be able to swerve to miss it. Practicing it, I don't know. It's dangerous, and it's really something that's just got to be in you, an inert motion that you just notice instantly and you swerve. I mean, I guess you could practice doing this just back and forth. You could do that. That would help you at least get used to it. Let's try that. Why don't you do that? That's a good idea. I'm just spitballing here, but yeah, I think that if you practice just kind of swerving back and forth, will get you at least a little bit of experience and give you the opportunity, if it comes up, you have the opportunity to miss it and swerve correctly. Okay, so here's one that's a little controversial, but it's the way I live and ride, and I think it needs to be said. If you, how do I put that? If you have the mentality that everyone is out to kill you, and you are able to accept that and still have a fun time riding, then you're going to be good, and you'll more than likely not wreck, because you're prepared for anyone doing anything stupid. Like, if I'm on it's something as crazy as this. There's a concrete barrier between you and the oncoming traffic on an interstate. If there's a semi-truck coming in the other direction, I immediately believe that it's going to blow a wheel and jump over the concrete barrier and hit me. So it's kind of morbid to think about it that way, but for me, it works. And I've gotten in 5 accidents, and it was all because I was doing something stupid, not because I was ill-prepared for another vehicle hitting me. I have never had a vehicle hit me, and I've never hit a vehicle. So just keep that in mind. That may be a way to think about it. If you can still enjoy yourself and believe everyone's out to kill you, then you're good. The other thing that you want to keep in mind is that you're basically invisible. You got to think, there is a small percentage of motorcycles on the road versus cars. So a cager is going to recognize the depth perception of a car with the speed and everything more than they would if they're looking at a motorcycle. And let's be honest, I mean, the motorcycles, they go a lot faster. And, you know, we do 10, 50 miles an hour over the speed limit, and it's just normal. It's normal for us. Well, a cager isn't going to think about that. They're not used to it. They don't have the depth perception or understanding when they see a motorcycle, if they see the motorcycle, that they don't understand how fast you're going, because you're smaller than a car, so the depth perception immediately is off. And then you're probably going faster than the speed limit, or faster than what they are normally accustomed to. So you just got to be careful. Long story short, imagine yourself as being invisible and everyone's out to hurt you. And if you can have those two things in your mind and still enjoy riding, well, then you've got it. You're good. You're good to go. You know, another thing is that as a new rider, me personally, I think that you should buy a used bike. It's a good way to start out. Instead of spending 15 grand on a motorcycle, you go out with 5 or 6 grand, you buy something that's already been dropped or scratched, and you learn on it. So when that happens, let's say your battery dies. You know, it's a 3-4 year old bike and nobody replaced the battery, and your battery dies. You're gonna have to know how to push start your bike. Okay, so here's how to push start your bike. First off, second gear. Keep it in second gear. A lot of people will say first gear, but me personally, my experience is second gear starts it better. Okay, so you're in second gear, your clutch is pulled in, your key is turned to the on position, and now you have your lucky friend that's gonna push you. Or I've seen this where you take your rear peg and fold it down, and then you won't be able to see my foot, but they put their foot on your peg as they're on a motorcycle, and they push you using the motorcycle. Okay, so you're gonna get up to about 8 miles an hour, 10 miles an hour, and remember, you have the clutch pulled in, right? Well, as soon as you hit that speed, you want to pop that clutch. Just pop it, and the bike will start up. And then you immediately put the clutch in and put it in neutral, stop the bike, put the kickstand down, you're good to go. It started. You can get to AutoZone or a motorcycle shop and have them replace the battery. Okay, something that you may not think about is insurance. Okay, so here's the deal about insurance. You always want to have comprehensive, whether you own it outright or not. If you're making payments on it through a bank, then you're gonna have to, they require you to have comprehensive. If it's paid off, you don't have to have comprehensive, and your insurance is cheaper. But here's the deal. Comprehensive, God forbid you do something stupid, you wreck the bike, and you total it, right? You didn't hit anybody, nobody hit you, you're just stupid, or you made a mistake, and you total your bike. If you do not have comprehensive, you do not have a bike anymore. They will not pay for it. Ask me how I know. Because remember that 2012 Yamaha R1 that I had? Well, I was an idiot. I was doing about 70 miles an hour. I clutched a wheelie and did it too hard. I couldn't hit the rear brake in time, and I looped it. It started tumbling and cartwheeling, and it got destroyed. I mean, destroyed. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. I have insurance. So I call Geico to make the claim and let them know what happened, and they were like, oh, I'm sorry, you're not covered. We are not gonna give you anything. And I got screwed, and I lost my bike, and for 4 years I couldn't do motovlogs anymore. Insurance is extremely important. You want to know exactly what you have, and it's worth paying the extra, what, 30 bucks a month to have comprehensive. It's worth it. So I highly recommend it, and I'm sure other people will too. The last thing I want to talk about is dropping your bike. As a new rider, you were most likely going to drop your bike. That's another reason why I suggest that you get a used bike, because if you do drop it, God forbid, well, it's a used bike. It's already got scratches on it. You're totally fine, and it is what it is. But you have to understand that everyone's going to drop their bike. Even the people that say that they've never dropped a bike, they probably dropped the bike and just don't want to say anything. I would say, I'd throw a number out there, and I would say maybe at the most 10% of all riders have not dropped their bike. So there's quite a lot of people out there that have dropped their bike. It is what it is. And actually, there's a funny story. So I was at an Atlanta meetup about 5-6 years ago, and the meetup was done, so everybody went to Hooters to hang out and have dinner. So I'm at Hooters, and I realize, oh my God, I don't have my camera bag. And I have GoPros in it. I've got an actual like video camera. I've got, my wallet was in there. Everything that I own that was important to me was in that bag. So I immediately leave Hooters. I rush all the way back to the dealership where we had the meetup, and I don't know what I was thinking, but I did a power slide. I slammed on the rear brake and I kicked it sideways, and that usually works pretty well, but this time it didn't, and I high-sided the bike and slammed it on the ground. This was my R1, had no scratches on it, and yeah, it was extremely embarrassing. There was tons of people outside, and everybody saw it. So it is what it is. You're gonna drop a bike. Just be safe, and more than likely it's gonna be in a parking lot or something, and you take a turn too hard. Or what a lot of people do is they hit the rear brake while they're going, or I'm sorry, they hit their front brake while they're going slow. Don't do that, because you'll end up dropping your bike. All right, well, I hope you guys enjoyed the parks that I went through. Really beautiful areas, and I enjoyed coming up here. The roads are beautiful. I mean, it's nothing like North Carolina or North Georgia, but the roads are okay here. And you got these beautiful parks. We're actually about to go over the dam right now. It's a beautiful lake. There we go, Lake Thurman. There's some sailboats out there, that's cool. And there's the dam. Very cool. Very cool. And we're actually going into South Carolina right here. So, like I said, if you're from that side of the lake in South Carolina, you don't have to wear a helmet. But if you go across this bridge, you better have a helmet on. You just never know. But anyways, guys, I digress. That's all there is. Leave a comment down below if you have some other suggestions for new riders. I know they'll appreciate it. I would really appreciate it. And you guys have a great day. So thank you for liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing. You guys keep doing what you're doing. I'm out.